Hi, today I'm chatting with Jane Seaton of Beaufort Street Books. Now, Jane opened her business in June of 2010, so it's their 10th anniversary next month, and set out to create a destination to not really just buy books, but also for the community to come together around books. And if you've ever been to one of their author events, either at the store or at another venue, you already know how successful Jane and her team have been in doing that. So Jane, welcome. Thanks for being available to chat.
Thanks very much, Nat. It's lovely to come along and have a chat.
Yeah, look, 10 years. I couldn't believe that when I read that. I was like, oh my God, that's your 10th anniversary next month. But given how the world and Beaufort Street in particular has changed in that time, let alone with what's happening now, it's, I think, a phenomenal achievement. So well done you to operate a small business and bookstore for this long. Why did you decide to open Beaufort Street Books?
Probably just a little bit crazy. Well, I mean, it was 10 years ago, and you might recall it was around the GFC of 10 years ago. So another very interesting time. So yeah, I decided to sort of leave a 3-figure salary behind and just open up a business. Definitely crazy, definitely crazy. But no, I did want to create something. And I'd done a postgraduate business degree with marketing. And whilst I was a national marketing manager at that time, I felt I wanted to do something else. So made the decision to leave and did some further research at some small business ideas and settled on a bookstore.
Yeah. And do you personally have a passion for books? Is that one of your things?
I do. And my mum tells me that I was a complete bookworm and always had my head in a book right back to the year dot. So yeah, I think it's always been in me to, you know, being a book lover.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of the things that comes out about you and the staff in the store, I have to say, which is you know why we go there. So Jane, what changes have you seen to people's reading habits since you opened, and how's the store responded to that?
When I first opened, we made a decision to have some core areas. Whilst we were planning on carrying, you know, the full range of genres that you can get in a bookstore, we wanted to focus on some core areas. One of those was cookbooks. Because back when we opened, you know, it was a very vibrant, it still is, but there was a big mix of cafes and restaurants and retail along the area. And I had a passion in food. One of my early business ideas was a cafe, a food business. And then obviously I went down looking and researching into a book cafe concept as well. So yeah, food, books and cooking was a love. Children's books, not to the extent that they are now, so that has further developed, but definitely kids books and quality fiction. They were the 3 core areas. Along and sort of within cooking was sustainability, that sort of area. So we've pretty much over the years stayed to those 3 areas, but definitely the quality fiction has expanded, and also the kids areas. As you would know, I think within a 5K radius, there's about 8 primary schools. So, you know, it was a natural evolution to really focus heavily in that area.
Yeah. And I think it's so hard as a parent, you know, to know what's going to be good and what your kids are going to enjoy. So to be able to come somewhere and get good advice, you know, about fiction, you know, non-fiction and fiction, and just reading for your children and what's going to be appropriate, and, you know.
Yeah, I think it's really... It is important, like the staff each have various interests as well. And, you know, there's a few of us that do like reading the kids' books. Clearly, I'm not a target market for it, but I actually do. I know 2 years ago, my top 7 books out of the 50 odd I read, 4 of them were kids' books. So, you know.
There you go.
There you go.
So Jane, one of the other things that you've done a lot of with the store, and I've just seen those really grow and grow, is author events. And you, I mean, initially you held those in store. So you'd come, you'd have your glass of wine. One of my favourites was Annabelle Crabb. She was just delightful. And then you've moved and done them also in much larger venues like the Judith Cottier Theatre at Perth College, and even the Octagon. And I was very lucky to be in the front row for Jennifer Saunders at that. And that was
a great event.
Yeah, it was just fabulous. How did they come about?
I think a bit of a marketing background. I was able to demonstrate to some of the publishers that whilst we're a small store with a relatively small turnover, we have the ability to punch, along with the larger stores from a marketing perspective. And so I think that helped me convince a few. We obviously started with a few in-store events, and the publishers were happy because it's a big investment for them to bring an author over from, East Coast over here and expect to get not only the bums on seats, but also to have the follow through with the event. So it's about creating an event, every aspect of the event that allows people, it's literally customers need to be over delighted by the experience that they have so that they're happy to invest and purchase a book. And so, I think we were able to achieve that, and it gave the publishers, when there's a big author like the Jennifer Saunders, I think we did the only event for that, which was great. And we've done other single only events, being the only, I think we did the Clementine Ford event was the only Perth event as well. We've certainly got there's 2 events with Trent Dalton coming up, one of which we're doing. So, I think that's been, it's the experience for the customers and then the sell through for the publishers. So everyone's happy.
Yeah. And the one that you did with Claire Bowditch recently, that was a great event, a bit of a sing along and all of that kind of stuff. It's just great to see the level of support that's there for, for Australian, or in that case, an Australian author as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, so obviously due to COVID-19, you've had to pivot to holding your author events online. There was one last night with Lionel Shriver via Zoom. Your next online event is the 26th of May with Curtis Sittenfeld to discuss her new novel, Rodham, which I'm on the wait list for it. This is an Australian exclusive, is that correct?
Yeah, it is. We so Mary Phaeton, who did the conversation last night with Lionel, all her events with the COVID-19 all got cancelled, and that's what she does, and she does an awesome job. She's such a considerate, thoughtful interviewer, both a listener and interviewing, her skills. So I said, look, I've been wanting to get international voices to our customers for ages. I've put in that many proposals. I really had hoped we had Rodham Ottolenghi when his last couple of books came out. I know, right? But I envisaged it was going to be a Skype style event with a room full of people, maybe some food out of his book that we'd done, and him on the big screen. So, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. And when all this came about, I said, come on, let's go for some big guns. And so I put in a proposal for the Curtis Sittenfeld, mainly because the book I'd started reading and it was awesome. Imagine the concept that Hillary doesn't marry Bill Clinton, but ends up going through the same process. It's like an alternate history. And her last book on Barbara Bush was a big seller as well. So I just pursued the publisher, and they said, let us do some investigating. Surprisingly, most international authors and all authors have a very empty diary at the moment. So, it was just ripe for the picking. And they came back and said, look, Curtis would like to do it, but it is going to be her only event with anyone in Australia. So you have an exclusive. So that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. And so how are you marketing that differently to how you'd normally publicise an author event? Yeah,
we normally, as you would know, we sell our tickets via our website, but with what's going on, because it is these international guests are only doing the one interviews, like with Lionel last night and with Curtis. So we've actually set up a try booking page, and interestingly, probably goes against all marketing, there is no mention on that website of us as the organizer. Even when it goes on people's credit cards, if they buy the ticket, it doesn't mention that it's us. Our ABN is on there, but it's a trust name and people wouldn't link that back to us. And we've done that because we want other bookstores around the country to feel comfortable marketing it to their customers, and without having to direct them to another store's website, particularly in Perth. So we've done it that way so that they can promote it out there. And and with what's going on around the country, most bookstores are hand delivering to their customers, and we want that to be a shop local phenomenon that's going on across the country.
Yeah, that's smart, Jane. Smart, yeah, smart kind of decision to make and tack to take. So aside from holding author events online, what other things have changed for your business during COVID-19? And you mentioned like home deliveries.
That's probably the biggest thing. I think I spent 3 hours one day doing the deliveries, but it was probably the busiest day we had. And we were, we were delivering out to the Crown for people that were in quarantine. That was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
We were obviously delivering to a lot of our customers, and our customers that were buying books for other people as gifts. Certainly with the Mother's Day thing that happened recently, we were doing a lot of gift wrapping and, delivering those out and about. I actually received a gift back once when I was doing a delivery. And I handed over the parcel and I got a bunch of flowers and a homegrown pumpkin. Oh. It was lovely.
But I guess there's that whole thing about people being nervous. Initially people were nervous to go out, and so that and also thinking, what am I going to do? So there was that real opportunity, and you moved to fill that very quickly. And I know, like the girls at Favourite Daughter in Inglewood, they reduced their opening hours, but they did next day delivery. So the afternoon, that same thing, they were doing next day delivery, recognising that other retail outlets were using Australia Post, and you're having to wait weeks for stuff to come through. Yeah,
we were we might be sending something to a customer down in Fremantle, and it was taking 2 weeks to get down there. We did also offer reduced rate Australia Post, so we absorbed some of the expense there because people don't always live in a 5k radius. But yeah, Australia Post, they struggled, but we didn't know this was all going to happen, and neither did they. So
true. Yeah. But I think it's a credit that you see an opportunity and you're in there, and and a lot of people have done that through COVID. There's been some really interesting and clever things that businesses have done, which have enabled them to kind of continue to trade. So I'm interested. Does it seem like we've all slowed down a little bit with COVID-19? Are we reading a little more, or are we wasting our downtime binging on Netflix?
I think there's probably been a bit of Netflix going on, but I think, interesting. I know, speaking for myself as well, for a while there, I was sort of 24/7 on the news, just seeing what was happening around the country, and every day, sometimes what was happening in the morning was going to be different to how it was going to be in the afternoon. So I was looking to the news reports quite a lot, and to be honest, once I'd sort of got through that, I didn't really want to get into more TV viewing. So I was then turning to books, and certainly it seems that customers were as well. We had, it coincided with the school holidays as well. So we did have people stocking up like toilet paper on kids' books. Fortunately, you can read a book again and again, not so with toilet paper.
No.
So I think people work, because we were seeing people buying a lot of classics, so they had the time now to read that book that they've always meant to read. We saw people buying books that have been popular over the last 12 to 24 months that are, they had meant to read it, and they heard a lot of people talking about how good it was. So we saw an increase in those sort of books. I think people were, books seem to be an essential item.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of thing, the first thing you think about, if you look, for me anyway, about that whole being locked down, and is that opportunity. Well, I might have a little bit more time, so I will get back into reading. I won't be going as much, so I will, will do something productive and enjoyable with that time. So I've actually really appreciated the opportunity to kind of rethink how I spend my time as well. It's been a really good thing. So in terms of people, your customers, is there a typical kind of Beaufort Street Books customer? Do you notice themes in, you know, kind of customers' reading tastes?
I think we do get a lot of people that like a book that's just a little bit different. We call, in the industry, they're called unknown unknowns. There's three types of books. There's the known knowns, the ones you know about and you've read. The known unknowns, the ones you know about but you haven't read. And then there's the unknown unknowns. And they're the ones that you didn't know about. And so we get people coming in and they will often comment, my God, you've got the most amazing, interesting books in here. And that sort of, it happens quite a lot that people volunteer that comment. So I think people that come in, apart from obviously the areas that we talked about with kids' books and quality fiction, it's the thinking person that comes in. I'd have to say that, yeah.
And I think, you know, I guess the difference between, well, you tell me if I'm right, I think the difference between people picking up a book, you know, kind of from Book Depository versus coming into, you know, Beaufort Street Books is we're not just looking for the review of the popular. We're kind of coming in. We want to sort of chat about what we, you know, what we might be looking for the book for. You know, we're sort of going on. We were going on holiday. So you know, so there was a bit. You know, you might want a holiday romp, or you might be in the mood for something that's a bit more meaty and. You know, that's a bit more literary. But you can actually come in and have that conversation and have titles suggested and. I like to read a jacket cover, you know, and you know, still see those and then decide, you know, on which direction you're going to go.
There's a little trick that we have in the store, though. I don't know if you've noticed that. I mean, obviously we've got the shelving around the outside, but everything in the centre of the store is actually face out.
Yeah.
So it actually gives you a chance to, because like if you're looking at the spine of a book, doesn't really tell you much, does it? But if you're looking at the cover, you know, it means so much more. So we've allowed that space in the center of the store to let what the publishers hopefully have done a good job on the cover to think you want to pick it up and actually look at the back of it. So we could put more bookshelves in there and have everything spine out, and there'd definitely be more books. Doesn't mean you'll find the right books a lot easier.
I love the tables. That's the first thing attracted to, you know. But you do that on your shelves as well, don't you? So you'll have, you know, you might have spine cover, you know, like so you'll still see covers on the shelves. But yeah, I really love that about the tables. So what was I going to say? So if there's still someone out there, you know, buying their books from international online bookstores that hasn't visited Beaufort Street Books, what else should they know about the shop and the store, Jane?
I think there's a lot of people that have the idea that by shopping online, they're going to get things quicker and potentially cheaper. It's actually not true, particularly at the moment. But, you know, I will have customers will come in and go, have you got this book? And we don't have it in stock. And they'll say, well, we'll just get it online. And the assumption is that it's easier and quicker. But if I go and look that book up, sometimes I actually can get it in cheaper, but I can definitely get it in quicker, and no more so at the moment even because we've got regular freight channels from over east. So I will do my ordering on a Sunday night. 50% of the books come through a supplier that will have them to me by the following Friday if they're in stock in the warehouse over east. You can't get quicker than that. And even with the likes of Amazon, who have an Australian base now, and obviously Booktopia that are online stores only, based in Australia though, even without the problems now, I can still get it here quicker. So it will be 2 to 3 weeks through those online stores, whereas I can get it here within a week to 7 business days if it's in stock with a supplier over east. So, you know, I think because of that speed and the not having to pay any extra freight or anything, but also the ability to discover something. I think that's the benefit of, you know, supporting a local store.
Yeah, you're right. It is that discovery while you're there, you know, sort of browsing around, seeing something else that might catch your eye, yeah, and yeah, the opportunity to
and
have
knowing
something
that
new.
80% of the money you spend in a store stays in that local area as well.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, yeah, there's just so many benefits from continuing to shop local and support local.
And I think
Um,
that might be something that comes from this experience. You know, I think people's reliance and support to local industries, local stores, I think will be something that does linger with people.
Yeah, I've wondered often if some of the benefits of COVID-19 were very much that and I think more so for the inner city areas where we have high streets, you know, like Beaufort Street. You know, more people were working from home, so you know they would pop out, you know, to get their coffee in the morning or their you know their lunch from the cafes that were still operating and doing takeaway, and often then popping into, because I know for some of the retail stores that had stayed open, they were saying that you know they were getting local clients who hadn't popped into stores before coming in because they were out and about because they were working from home.
Mm.
And in some ways, I wonder if that, you know, kind of race to return to the office is going to be a bad thing. You know, I'd love to see more businesses allowing their employees to work from home at least a couple of days a week, because I think that would be of major benefit to our communities as well.
Mm. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
had customers actually tell me they are hoping that after this is all over, that they can still do that. They're finding they're more productive. They're not
yeah.
wasting any travel time. It's better for the environment, you know, better for local areas. And if all of that is happening, it's better for them as a person too.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. Jane, where do you see the future of Beaufort Street Books in the next 10 years?
Um, I think we'll be still doing what we're doing. I'll just be 10 years older and hopefully not doing home deliveries. You know, I see that the community will continue to be this sort of inner city community with a family focus within the area. I don't know, maybe we'll see somebody who's been a customer since they were year dot, maybe wanting to take over the business. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll still be here, I think, just a little bit older, a little bit grayer.
And before we sign off, and I didn't put it in the questions, but I'm going to throw it at you. Your kind of top couple of reads, if you are still, you know, at home with some time on your hands, your kind of top couple of must reads from the last 12 months.
Ooh, I think I'm just going to go to my two favourite adult books of last year. The first one is Elizabeth Gilbert's City of Girls, which is set in the 40s. It's a saga in that it takes us from when she's about 18, 19 to when she's about 75. So you really, you take that journey with the character. It's a novel, and a lot of people would know Elizabeth Gilbert from her Eat, Pray, Love days. This is completely different. She's actually a really good researcher and writer. Her previous novel was A Signature of Things, and it was quite a brilliant seller. So I thoroughly recommend that. The other one is a book by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is called Daisy Jones and the Six. We're actually hoping to get her on our international author Zoom series, because the book is, it's the phone, fortunately I don't have to get it. The book, it's a novel, but I had to keep reminding myself when I was reading it, because it reads like a biography. There's a band that were incredibly successful and they broke up in the late 70s and no one knew why. So there's a person who goes throughout and interviews the band members, and it's woven together quite well that in a conversation form. You seriously have to keep reminding yourself it's a novel, it's not a biography. There's even lyrics in the back of the book that the band used to sing. The publisher even did a Spotify playlist for the music of the era, which is all the Fleetwood Mac sort of sounds and that sort of thing. Reese Witherspoon's even doing a TV series that will air later in the year. So I absolutely loved it, and I gave a copy to Mary to have a read, and she absolutely loved it as well. So we're hoping we can announce that soon, that we've got a date with her. But if not, it's an awesome book to read.
Yeah, I'll have to come pick that one up. And what of releases that are due to come out in the next few months? What one are you most excited by?
Probably Rodham. I'm about 50 pages in, and I know that it's going to be in my top books for the year already. So just love it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. And so, Jane, if people are kind of, obviously the store's still open, what hours are you operating on at the moment?
We're doing 10 till 5:30. So normally we would have been 10 till 6 with late nights on Thursday and Friday nights, but we've reduced to 10 till 5:30 without the late nights, and we'll keep it at that for the time being. I think, particularly going into winter anyway, there's not going to be a lot of people around late on Thursdays and Friday nights, and so we'll revisit the hours as we get into the warmer months, I think.
Yeah. And if people want to keep up to date with the author events, obviously they can follow you on Facebook. You've got your web page, but they can also sign up for your mailing list on your through your website, can't they?
It's best to actually send us an email. We don't automatically put people into the mailing list. I understand that I get millions of emails, but we do get people ringing up and begging to be on the mailing list because they don't want to miss out on events. So we will always have our events on the website, as well as setting up the try booking page. So local people can just go straight to the homepage and they'll see the various events we've got coming up.
Yeah, great. Jane, is there anything that I've not covered that you'd like to say about the store, or you think I should have asked you, or any other exciting news or anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think, all good.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I'm looking forward to the next event.
Loved having the chat, Nat. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Jane. Bye.
See ya.